The green accordion folder on the table in front of me had seen better days. The edges were soft from years of handling, the color faded from a deep forest green to something closer to gray, and the elastic band that held it shut had been replaced twice. I pressed my palm flat against it the way some people press a hand against a Bible before testimony, and I thought, 12 years. Everything I am is in this folder. My brother Derek sat across the conference table in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. He hadn't looked at me once since we'd sat down. He was studying the ceiling, the window, the water stain on the carpet, anything except the sister he'd called from a gas station in Phoenix 12 years ago, voice thin and frantic, asking her to please just watch the girls for one weekend. He never came back for them. Mr. Calloway, the mediator, a woman named Patricia Hess with reading glasses perched on the end of her nose, folded her hands on the table. Your petition states that you wish to resume custody of Lily and Mia, and that you believe your sister has interfered with your parental rights since 2013. That's correct. Derek's attorney answered before Derek could open his mouth. Our position is that Miss Calloway took advantage of a vulnerable father during a period of grief and personal crisis, and effectively prevented him from establishing a relationship with his daughters. Vulnerable father. Personal crisis. I tasted something bitter at the back of my throat. The girls were 3 years old when Derek dropped them at my apartment with one diaper bag and 2 stuffed animals. Lily had cried for 4 hours straight. Mia had gone completely silent, which was somehow worse. I'd sat on my bathroom floor at 2 in the morning with both of them in my lap, calling his number over and over, listening to it ring into nothing. He had not been in a period of personal crisis. He had been in Miami with a woman named Cassandra who didn't want children. Miss Calloway. Patricia turned to me. Would you like to respond? I laid my hand on the folder again. I would, but I didn't open it yet. Not yet. 12 years ago. I was 30 years old and completely unprepared to be anyone's mother. I was a radiology technician working rotating shifts at a hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had a 1-bedroom apartment, a cat named Gerald, and a 5-year plan that did not include raising 2 toddlers whose father had decided that fatherhood was incompatible with his preferred lifestyle. Derek had always been the golden one. Our parents said it without meaning to. In small ways, the extra money slipped to him at Christmas. The way our mother's voice softened when she talked about his potential. He was handsome and magnetic, and absolutely certain that the rules everyone else lived by didn't quite apply to him. When he married Sophie Chen in 2009, we all exhaled with relief. Sophie was steady and warm and kind, and we thought she would be the anchor he needed. Sophie died 11 days after the twins were born. A pulmonary embolism. Sudden and catastrophic. She was 26 years old. I will not pretend Derek didn't grieve. He did. But grief, I've learned, is not an excuse for everything. It explains things without excusing them. And what Derek did, loading 2 3-year-old girls into a car seat at 7 in the morning, driving them to my apartment, telling them Aunt Claire was going to have a fun sleepover with them that was a choice. Grief didn't make it. He made it. I tried for 3 months to reach him. Texts went unread. Calls went unanswered. The one voicemail he left me said, "Only I can't do this. Claire, I'm sorry. Take care of them." My parents were in their 70s and in poor health. There was no one else. So I took care of them. I learned how to braid hair and manage 2 separate doctor's schedules and navigate the particular emotional complexity of twin girls who processed the world completely differently. Lily was loud and certain and prone to dramatic declarations. Mia was quiet and watchful and devastatingly perceptive. I learned which nightmares each of them had and what helped. I learned that Lily needed to be held during thunderstorms and that Mia needed to be left alone for exactly 7 minutes before she was ready to talk about whatever was hurting her. I was at every school play, every soccer game, every heartbreak and triumph, an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I rearranged my shifts and declined promotions and took a second job doing weekend x-rays at an urgent care clinic so I could afford the orthodontia and the school trips and the college prep tutoring. I became their mother in every way that mattered, even though I never used that word. They called me Aunt Claire, and I called them my girls, and we built a life in the space their father had evacuated. Derek came back exactly twice in 12 years. Once when the girls were 7, appearing at my door on a Sunday afternoon with no warning and a bag of cheap stuffed animals, staying for an hour before he got a phone call he apparently had to take outside, and then just kept walking to his car and drove away. Once when they were 11, sending a birthday card with a $50 bill in it and a note that said, "I'm working on getting myself together. I'll see you girls soon." That was 4 years ago. There was no soon. Until now. Until, apparently, someone told him about the trust. Sophie's parents, her father James and her mother Evelyn Chen, had been quiet presences in the girls' lives since the beginning. They lived in Charlotte and came to visit several times a year, bringing dumplings and gifts and the particular steady love of grandparents who understand they have to work harder to stay connected. They adored Lily and Mia. And when James passed away 3 years ago, his estate attorney contacted me to let me know that he had established a trust for his granddaughters, $840,000, split equally when the girls turned 18. As their custodial guardian, I was named as the administrator. As their biological father, Derek was listed as the alternate beneficiary in the event that the girls died before reaching 18, a standard legal provision that meant absolutely nothing in practice. Unless you were the kind of person who saw $800,000 and started calculating. The petition had arrived 6 weeks ago. I'd been standing in the kitchen making lunches for the girls' school day when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize, and a paralegal's voice informed me that Derek Calloway had filed for emergency custody restoration of his minor children, Lily and Mia Calloway, on the grounds that their current guardian had obstructed his parental access. I had not cried. I'd set down the knife, walked to my bedroom, closed the door quietly so the girls wouldn't hear, and called my attorney. Then I'd gone to my closet shelf and pulled down the green accordion folder. "I'd like to submit this into evidence," I told Patricia Hess, and I finally opened the folder. 12 years of a life. Organized by year, by category, by event. Report cards in clear plastic sleeves. Everyone. Medical records going back to their first well-child check at my pediatrician's office, where I'd had to explain to the nurse why I didn't have their birth certificates, and we'd had to make 3 calls to the county office before we could proceed. Every permission slip, every field trip form, every emergency contact sheet from every school, every year. My name, my phone number, my signature, over and over. I spread a section across the table. "These are the medical authorization forms from Lily's appendix surgery in 2017, I said. She was 8 years old. The surgeon needed next of kin authorization for emergency surgery. I was listed as her guardian. Derek was unreachable. I slid another set of papers forward. "These are Mia's therapy intake forms from 2018, when she began seeing a counselor to work through what her therapist described as abandonment trauma. The intake form asks for the name of the absent parent and the reason for absence. Mia filled it out herself. She wrote, 'My dad decided he didn't want us.'" The room was very quiet. "How long have you been compiling this?" Patricia asked. "Since the first week they came to live with me," I said. "I kept everything because I knew someday I might need to show someone what 12 years of a parent's life actually looks like." Derek's attorney was writing something on a legal pad. Derek himself was looking at the table now. His jaw was set in a way I recognized that particular expression from childhood that meant he knew he was losing but hadn't decided to stop yet. "Miss Calloway," Patricia said carefully, "how do your nieces feel about their father?" I paused, because this was the part that I had prepared for but still dreaded. "Lily and Mia know that their father is seeking custody," I said. "They have been told the basic facts." I did not color those facts with my own feelings, though I won't pretend that was easy. I folded my hands in my lap. They asked to submit written statements. Patricia's office should have received them this morning. She checked her email, and something shifted in her expression as she read. She looked up at Derek's attorney. "I'd like to recess for 20 minutes. I sat in the hallway on a hard plastic chair and drank bad coffee from a vending machine and tried to remember how to breathe. My phone buzzed. "Mia, how is it going? Use the folder emoji if it's going okay." I sent back a green folder emoji, and she sent back a small green heart. Lily texted 30 seconds later. "If he tries to take us, I'm running away to Canada." I'm serious. I've researched this. I almost laughed. That was so exactly Lily that the knot in my chest loosened just slightly. She had her mother's practicality dressed up in her own particular brand of theatrical certainty. Sophie would have loved watching her become herself. I thought about Sophie a lot. I had kept Sophie alive for these girls the way you keep a candle lit in a window carefully, consistently, never letting it go out even when it was inconvenient. I had framed photographs of her in their rooms. I had learned to make her mother's recipe for red bean soup. I had told them every story I knew about the woman who had loved them for 11 days and would have loved them forever if she'd had the chance. Derek had not mentioned Sophie once in 12 years. Not in the birthday card. Not in the hour he'd spent at my door when they were 7. The girls had noticed. Mia had told me once, in her quiet, precise way, "I think it hurts him too much to talk about her." And I had said, "Maybe so, sweetheart, because sometimes the most loving thing is to leave room for an interpretation that spares someone's feelings, even when you don't quite believe it yourself." Patricia's assistant came into the hallway. "We're ready." The session ended without resolution, which my attorney had prepared me for. These things didn't resolve in a day. But something had shifted in the room. Derek's attorney was asking for a continuance to review the documentation I'd submitted, which my attorney told me quietly, on our way out, was a very good sign. Derek caught up to me in the parking lot. "Claire." His voice was rough. He looked older than 40. And I noticed for the first time that his suit, which I had thought was expensive, had a worn spot at the left cuff. "Can we talk?" "We can talk," I said. "Not here. Not today. Just I need you to understand that this isn't what it looks like." I stopped walking, turned to face my brother. The Tennessee afternoon was sharp and bright, the kind of March day that looks like spring but still carries winter in the wind. "Then tell me what it is," I said. He ran a hand through his hair. "I've been going through some things. Financially. The business I started in Phoenix fell apart last year, and it doesn't matter. I'm trying to rebuild, and then my lawyer told me about Sophie's parents' trust, and I just thought." He stopped. "You thought it could help you rebuild," I said. "I thought I have rights, Claire. They're my daughters. Rights." I held that word in my mouth for a moment. Lily had nightmares until she was 9 years old about being left somewhere and not being found. She used to stand at the front window at night when she heard a car, thinking maybe it was you. Mia used to ask me if she did something wrong. She was 4 years old, asking me if she had done something to make her father not want her. My voice stayed level. I had practiced this. "You have rights, Derek. But they don't come from biology. You have to earn them the same way I did. One day at a time, one choice at a time, for 12 years. He didn't say anything. "I'll meet you Saturday," I said. "The Maple Street Diner on Bearden Hill, 10 o'clock. And bring your whole story, because I am going to bring mine." I told the girls that night, the 3 of us on the couch the way we always ended up at the end of hard days, Lily with her feet tucked under her and Mia in the corner with her knees pulled up. "I'm not going to pretend tonight went perfectly," I said. "But I'm also not going to pretend I'm scared. Because I'm not. You are 15 years old, and no judge in this state is going to override what you want without a very good reason." "We want to stay here," Lily said flatly. It wasn't a question. "I know." I looked at Mia, who was watching me with that careful, measuring gaze. "Mia, I want to know why he really came back," she said. "Is it the trust? Grandpa James's trust?" I had decided, driving home from the mediation, that I was done protecting them from information they were old enough to have. 12 years of carefully filtering the truth had been the right call when they were toddlers. When they were 7. When they were 10. They were not any of those ages anymore. "I think so," I said. "I think someone told him about it and the timing wasn't a coincidence." The silence that followed was different from grief. It was something harder and more final, the particular quiet of a door being closed. "Okay," Mia said, after a while. "Then I need to tell you something." She reached for her phone, scrolled, and handed it to me. "He messaged me 2 weeks ago, before the petition was filed. He said he wanted to reconnect, and that he was going to make things right, and that things would be better if we were with him." She paused. I didn't respond, but I saved it. I stared at the message thread on her screen. 2 weeks ago. My brother had reached out to my 15-year-old niece, quietly, before the legal process began, laying groundwork. Can I send that to my attorney? I asked. Already forwarded it to her, Mia said. This afternoon. I looked at her, this child, who at age 4 had asked me if she'd done something wrong, and felt something expand inside my chest. When did you become smarter than me? I asked. Probably around 3rd grade, she said. Lily figured it out by 1st grade. 2nd grade, Lily corrected, not looking up from her phone. Definitely 2nd grade. Saturday morning was cold and clear. I arrived at the diner 20 minutes early, which was a habit my mother had given me, and one I'd passed on to the girls whether they wanted it or not. I ordered coffee, black, and spread a different folder on the table. This one, not the worn green accordion binder, but a clean manila one, crisp and new. Derek arrived exactly on time, which told me his attorney had coached him. He ordered coffee with cream and 2 sugars, which was exactly what he'd ordered at every diner we'd ever sat in together since we were teenagers, and the familiarity of it made something ache that I didn't have the energy to examine. I appreciate you agreeing to this, he started. I want to understand something first, I said. Before anything else. The message you sent Mia 2 weeks ago, did your attorney know you were reaching out directly to the girls before filing? His expression flickered. That was a private. It was documented. I kept my voice even. She saved the message. My attorney has it. I need to know if your legal team knew. Because if they did, we have a different kind of problem. And if they didn't, then you did it unilaterally, and they need to know. Derek set down his coffee cup. He looked like a man calculating odds in real time. They didn't know, he admitted. That's what I thought. I opened the manila folder. Then let me tell you what I've learned about your situation, because I didn't come here without doing my homework. I laid 3 printed pages on the table. Public records, court filings from the state of Arizona. A business dissolution notice from the Arizona Corporation Commission. Your company filed for dissolution 8 months ago, I said. Before that, there were 2 civil suits from former contractors who said they were never paid. You settled both, which means neither is on your record, but the filings are public. I moved to the 2nd page. You have a lien on the property you've been renting in Scottsdale. 3 months of back rent. I slid the 3rd page across. And your attorney, the one representing you here, his retainer fee is typically $15,000 up front. I'm curious how that got paid, given everything else. Derek was very still. I'm not telling you this to humiliate you, I said. And I meant it. I'm telling you because you need to understand that I see the whole picture. And the picture is, you are in financial trouble. Someone told you about Sophie's parents' trust, and you calculated that filing for custody was worth the legal cost because the potential return was significant. Claire, $840,000, I said. Split 3 ways, if you regain parental authority, $280 each. That pays off a lot of liens. It's not just about Derek. I put my hand flat on the table. I am your sister. I have known you for 42 years. You don't have to perform for me. Just tell me the truth. The diner hummed around us. A family at the next table was laughing at something a small child was doing with a spoon. The normalcy of it felt almost surreal. My brother looked out the window for a long time. When he looked back, something in his face had collapsed, not dramatically, just the slow settling of a structure that had been held up by tension for too long. I didn't think it would be this hard to come back, he said quietly. I don't know what I thought. That there would still be something there, that you'd be angry but they'd be, I don't know, open. They loved you for years, I said. Past when it made sense to. That's what children do with parents who leave. They keep the door open long after any adult would have closed it. But they're not small children anymore, Derek. They're 15-year-old girls who understand exactly what happened and exactly why you're here now. I do love them. Then prove it, I said. Not in court. Not with a lawyer. Prove it by doing what love actually requires, which is showing up without an agenda, without expectation, without access to their inheritance as a motivating factor. I gathered the papers and returned them to the folder. If you withdraw the petition, I will not close the door on a relationship. I will tell the girls that their father reached out in good faith and that I think they should have the chance to know him. I will mean it. But if you continue this, I will put every document I have in front of a judge, including Mia's message thread, and I will let the girls make their statements on the record, And I promise you that what they say will end any chance of the relationship you're claiming to want." Derek said nothing for a long time. "What do I tell my attorney?" "That's not my problem," I said. "That's between you and the consequences of choices you made before you walked into that mediator's office." I left a 20 on the table for the coffee, shouldered my bag, and walked out into the March morning. I didn't look back. People like my brother, I had learned, needed to feel you were absolutely certain before they would follow. I was absolutely certain. He withdrew the petition 11 days later. His attorney sent a one-line notification to mine, and my attorney called me at work. And I sat in the break room for 5 minutes with my phone in my hands, feeling something I couldn't quite name. Not triumph, that wasn't the right word. More like the slow release of a pressure that had been building for so long, I'd stopped noticing it. I told the girls that evening. Lily said, "Good," and meant it. Mia said, "What happens now?" "Now you decide," I said, "whether you want to give him a chance to do this differently. Not because you owe him anything, just because you're the kind of people who believe that's still possible." Mia thought about it for a long time, turning something over in her mind the way she always did before speaking. "I want to send him a letter," she said finally. "Just something that tells him what we'd need if he wanted to try. No surprises, no lawyers, no showing up without asking first. Rules. That's incredibly wise," I said. "I know," she said, without arrogance, just certainty. Lily leaned over and put her head on Mia's shoulder, the familiar gesture of two people who had been each other's constants for 15 years. "We write it together," she said. "Together," Mia agreed. 6 months later, Derek came to Knoxville for a weekend. He sent a text asking if he could visit, in advance, the way Mia's letter had requested. He stayed at a hotel 3 miles away. He took the girls out to lunch on Saturday and went to Lily's soccer game on Sunday, sitting in the stands with the other parents, and he did not try to make it more than what it was. He was stiff and uncertain and clearly out of practice at everything. The girls came home Sunday evening, tired and quiet in the way they got when something was emotionally complicated, and they sat on the couch and didn't say much for a while. "So?" I finally asked. "He cried," Lily said, not unkindly. "At the game. When I scored. He told us about Mom," Mia said. "Some things we didn't know. About when they were first dating." She paused. "He kept saying he was sorry. I told him sorry only means something if the behavior changes." "You told him that?" "Verbatim," Lily confirmed. "She's been saving it." I looked at my nieces, these 2 young women who had built themselves up from the rubble of being left behind, who had learned through watching what love was supposed to look like, who had made themselves into the kind of people their mother would have been proud of. I had not done this alone. Sophie's parents had helped, and their teachers, and the community we'd built slowly and imperfectly over 12 years in this city. But I had been the one who stayed. I had been the one who was there every morning and every night and every ordinary moment in between. And I understood now that ordinary moments were not ordinary at all. They were everything. They were the whole substance of it. "Aunt Claire," Mia said, and something in her voice made me set down my tea. She was holding her phone, and Lily had moved closer to her, and they were wearing the matching half-smiles they used when they'd planned something together. "We need to tell you something." "Should I sit down?" "You're already sitting," Lily said. "Then should I brace myself?" "Probably not," Mia said. "It's a good thing. We've been talking a lot, actually, since everything happened, and we want to do something with part of our inheritance when we turn 18. She looked at her sister, who nodded. "We want to put some of it in an account for you. For retirement. Because you spent yours on us." I opened my mouth. "Don't say you don't need it," Lily said immediately. "Don't say it," I was going to say. "Don't say we don't have to do this either," Mia said. I closed my mouth. "We know you," Lily said. "We know every deflection you have. We've been cataloging them since about 2nd grade. I sat with that for a moment. The evening light was coming through the kitchen window at the angle it always did this time of year, falling across the table where they'd done 12 years of homework, where I'd signed 12 years of permission slips, where we had eaten thousands of ordinary dinners that were not ordinary at all. "Your grandfather James would have liked you so much," I said finally. My voice came out rougher than I intended. "He did like us," Mia said gently. "That's why he left us something to start with." I thought about the green accordion folder, still sitting on my closet shelf. 12 years of evidence that love is not a feeling but a practice. That showing up is its own form of testimony, that some truths are best carried in worn folders with faded elastic bands, held close until the moment comes when someone needs to see the weight of them. Okay, I said. Okay, you'll accept it? Lily asked. Okay, I said. I'll accept it. Lily pumped her fist once, quietly, like she was trying not to celebrate too loudly. Mia just smiled that small, certain, Sophie smile she'd inherited without ever knowing it, and leaned over to pour me more tea. Outside, the late summer evening was warm and unhurried. Somewhere down the street, a neighbor's kid was running through a sprinkler, shrieking with the pure, uncomplicated joy of cold water on a hot day. My girls were 15 years old. In 3 years, they would be 18, and the world would open in front of them in ways I had been quietly, stubbornly, fiercely working to prepare them for, since they were small enough to carry 2 at once. Their father was trying, imperfectly, which was the most anyone could ask of someone who had first to undo the damage of not trying. Their grandmother Evelyn still called every Sunday from Charlotte and cried a little every time they spoke, because hearing their voices was, she said, the closest she could get to hearing Sophie. I had not set out to be anyone's mother. I had simply been the person who stayed when staying was the only reasonable thing left to do. It turned out that was enough. It had always been exactly enough.